So it's more of an ephemeral fatigue.
Ephemeral. What you're about to hear, but the story you're about to hear is true. And by true, I mean false. It's all lies. But they're entertaining lies. And in the end, isn't that the real truth? The answer is no.
Which sounds
This points out too that our show can be like a lesser Simpsons. You know, like we can
A million times lesser.
yeah, we can. Which it was like a plastic stem, I guess, that was stuffed into the ground, and it had the wind made it whirl around. And one time it was up against this pole, and it was hitting the pole as it twirled around, going like ding, 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 ding. So I moved it off like 3 feet away from the pole, so it was totally silent now. I don't know, it's like a shot. Somebody shoots a shot out over the city, and it kind of, you know, it just gets lost. Britain is probably better for headaches than anything else, at least in the short run. If you've got a really bad headache, I think aspirin, if anything's going to help, it's probably going to be aspirin in the short run, but you're increasing your risk of stroke, which brings us probably back to Aquinas again. Shit that blows into my yard, you know? The whole shit that's like, it's all this little Dorito bags and things blown into my yard and cigarette butts and shit. And they're like in my plants, and like, what am I supposed to do? Go around crawling around my yard on my hands and knees eating up all this shit? Right? I was gang raped.
Then have him produce it.
I'm teaching an Artaud course in the spring.
Right.
Yeah. We'll try to put something together. Mostly I'm going to have them be looking at films and talk about the Artaud's Theater of Cruelty and No More Masterpieces essay, and talk about their impact on some modern films, but yeah, so anyway, yeah, I was saying I think we should have more. This one thing the school has never had since I've been here is some sort of more communication between the art departments. I had a hard time getting people to submit drawings and stuff, even for this literary magazine. Anytime you feel bad, I remember when I thought I was dying. I thought I had HIV. My lymph nodes are like popping out of my head. I've been sick for, seriously, I've been sick for like a year. I had 102 temperature.
Really?
Yeah, and I had chronic fatigue. And so I was in the hospital, and the doctor's telling me, I said, well, how do you know this isn't like AIDS or something?
The AIDS.
The AIDS.
Had you been having unprotected sex?
Yes. And anyway, the doctor, I said, Doc, how do you know that I don't have the AIDS? And he said, no, if you have HIV, your lymph nodes would be popping out and stuff. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm a little bit relieved as I'm about to faint because they're taking blood from me and I have 102.5 temperature. Anyway, so I go home that night and I'm there. My lymph nodes start popping out. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, I'm dying. Okay. So I was certain that I was dying at that point. And so I turned on the TV. I seriously did. I said, I can't sit here and think about this. I was put on the TV and nothing was on. All I could find on was Good Times. We didn't even have cable. So I'm like trying to channel 45 in Baltimore. It's like the Fox affiliate or whatever, late at night or something. It's like Good Times is on, and I'm sitting there watching Good Times, like, and they're like, you know.
Were they talking about?
We lucky we got him. I don't mind.
Were they talking about the AIDS on Good Times?
No, that was Good Times predated the AIDS.
What's that scab behind your ear?
No one was got behind my ear.
I'm fighting terrorism by informing people that abortion is in fact legal.
On the station at
Shut the
8:30
fuck up, bitch.
was Tim. Now, it was the show, Does God Exist? Joe, does God exist?
Yeah. Yeah, you have to understand the word exist. It's comes from it's exist. To ek means out, and cyst means fester. And that's what God does, is he out festers. He all festered, but God out festers. He out festers us all. You know what Ulysses S. Grant says? Ulysses S. Grant, his son would come home, or no, it wasn't his son who would come home. He would come home from work at the tannery and come into his house, and his son would be there, and he said, his little son would come up to him when he came in the house and say, "Are you looking for a fight?" And Ulysses S. Grant would say, "I'm a man of peace, but when a man of your stature hectors me in this way, I must." I can't remember how he finished it, but I must admit to a fight, and then they would start rolling.
That's
around.
weird. I saw the word Hector somewhere. It said something. What does that mean to Hector? Heckle?
Sort of, but it goes past that, to bother someone.
It was like what that guy was doing to you when you were reading Springer.
Talking about putting my dick
Guess
in
you
my
could-
mouth.
You can do it physically or, you know.
It means to taunt someone into implying that they'll put their dick in their mouth.
Taunt someone in order to push them to try them to get them to do something.
What if that goes back to Hector?
Yeah, I was wondering that too. And, Hector was a sad kid.
It always comes down to language. And a student today told me that she would have been an English major if she hadn't decided to major in German.
Yeah.
So she is an English major, in a way.
Yeah.
Don't get me started
Because English is a
on
Germanic
those
language.
Germans. Fucking Krauts.
Expect that. I mean, it's just like you would expect Santa Claus to come down the chimney and put shit in your, in your stockings instead of coal. Unless you were like a real good kid. If you're a real good kid, then you get coal in your stockings. And sometimes my parents, I think they told us it was coal, but I think it was shit. I really do. Seriously.
Yeah, Dennis Springer. Well, he was telling me one time that he had a feeling about things. He had this feeling, and it was akin to some of the holidays in which we celebrate really practical things. I'm talking about like not kind of romantic holidays, but really practical holidays, like Secretary's Day or something, or like Trash Man Day or whatever it is. But he was telling me about that, and I was just thinking, I was thinking about, frankly, does he know Tim Smith? Tim Smith, that student. I was thinking, Tim Smith. It's probably better that he's not at school anymore, for everybody's sake. But there
Well, yeah, I mean, Brett Favre's elbow is never going to heal. I mean, he's got acute tendonitis, and you know, ever since he gave up those what was it, Vicodin, that pain pill. I mean, there was no way that he was going to perform like he was because his arm was just going to hurt. I mean, the thing watching somebody being paid so much money, being in so much pain, I mean, it really, really tears me apart. Because he honestly wants to be a... There's, you know, no way around it.
Sometimes they make hot tubs that are almost so big that you could call them a pool.
Yeah, but, I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, Cuban cigars are not rolled by virgin's feet. And you can go to Guatemala or you can go to El Salvador and get the same brand or the same quality of tobacco as a Cuban cigar, but there's...
No, but wait, if I had a Polaroid and I'm, you know, pointing it up at the sky, watching the clouds go by, right? And I'm just clicking pictures, you know. What does that say? I mean, what does that say about us? Or what does that say really about the whole future of American, you know, industry?
Well, but I mean, it's only 140, I mean, the Middle Earth is 350 miles. I mean, if you come to 100 or 250 miles, I believe it is, if Tom was here, Tom would give us some. I mean, that's magma. What? I mean...
Magma. Okay, stop. I'll just read this. Our show weaves together the serious and the farcical, the biographical and the purely fictitious. Please do not think that everything you hear on this show is true or reflects who we really are. For one thing, we aren't really anybody, and we never will be. And while some things we say may be true, our belief in basic civil rights, for instance, or the fact that we do live in the Marshall area, most of what we say is purely said for effect. We're actors. Riders on the storm. We're merely saying what we feel we need to say to keep one another awake. Yes, this may mean that at times we will say things that call into question our humanity. At those times, remind yourself, these are just actors. You yourself, you right now in your home, you're an actor too. And we're just trying to help you to get your act together.